Hello again. So on the docket for today is an old Abu Garcia reel. This is, I think it's about a 50s. It's a 5000C. A friend of mine, it was his grandfather's. He thinks he got it. He thinks his grandfather got it. I gotta say the right he. He thinks his grandfather got it shortly before he died. Because he didn't believe it was a C until I'd let him know, and he said, that's newer than I thought. I'm sure y'all can hear that. It's quite bad. I had just finished up doing another 5000C, a much newer one. This is a modern style. Much better. This one was actually noisier, believe it or not. This one had all kinds of stuff. I think he had dunked this one a few times in the water. It looked like it. So, in case you don't know, don't dunk your reel in the water, please. This one, you can see it's quite similar, but it's also got quite a few differences. So, let's redo this. So, set like this. Oh. That's the bad thing about this set right here, that wrench doesn't hold. A set like this is really good. It's got the oil, it's got this precision degreaser. Why it's precision, I don't know. It's still a spray bottle. It's got some grease, it's got a nice little screwdriver and a brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all that out. And they make this actually for these reels, so the wrench works for the reels that I've used so far. I like to start with one rag here that I'm going to set all my parts on, and then this rag will be for all the actual degreasing, and that's my dirty rag. Well, oh, there it is. Okay, that will fit. This is a double-sided. There we go. So what they do, this, you all see that? Yeah, there you go. This is to stop this nut from spinning. So whether it's just this steel plate or whether it's this plastic cover, they both have the same job. Now what I will do, I've messed up in the past, I will take it and I'm going to set my reel like this, so it's going to be basically facing me just like I would use it. Gosh, that sounds terrible. And I will be setting all of my parts right there. Okay, so this comes off. See, that wasn't even tight, because it doesn't have to be. I mean, this was literally probably just finger tight. Okay. Do you see right there? On the tip of this is an E-ring. I like to use this is just a Husky, but just a regular screwdriver. Make sure you do not lose control of this. Just take that E-ring, C-clip, whatever you want to call it, take that off. Okay. This should be facing down. It's crazy because this is all the same parts. Outside looks different, but so far all this looks the same. This is so flat from so many years of sitting there, but it does angle down. Sits down that way. Loosen this. Remove this cap. There we go. This one's different. So on the newer ones, rather than just having this spacer in here, what is that, 4 pieces of copper? That's like 4 pieces of copper. Interesting. On the new ones, they have a little plastic clip that sits in there, and this rod would stick out, and the end of this would actually snap into that. It's different. So I'm going to pull this off. What I'm going to do is just do one side at a time. So this side that has the drive gear and all that, this is the most complicated side. I just make sure that I don't lose everything. How does that come off? I'm not sure yet. This one's different. This one is a lot different from the modern ones. There's a bronze gear right at the bottom of this. You don't want that bronze gear to come loose. Okay. Tell you what. Because I can't figure it out just yet, this cover still has to come off, so it makes me think that I'm still missing something. So I will remove this cover. So these 3 big screws, thumb screws almost, they hold this cover onto the cage. Now these 2 screws hold this cover onto here. See how it's just kind of dangling? That's an important piece. So I don't know if it caught that. One of these little pieces, I'll show you in a minute where it goes. But there's 2 pieces on this reel, on the actual spool itself, where they line up and go into this side to help locate it. Alright. That is just not coming out of that gear. Oh gosh, this one is quite a bit different inside. What's that? Okay. This piece has changed a little bit throughout the years. Just a little bit. There, now that we're working in this stuff, I'll get you a little closer. So this still looks somewhat the same, but it's also quite a bit different. This is actually your drag mechanism right here. You got these 2. How are these going? Okay, so on the new ones, sorry, I just realized I was out of frame. On the new ones, these 2 pieces right here actually have a little bit of shape like this, and they fit like that, so they put a little pressure on it. These feel almost a little bit like they do, and maybe they did, but after sitting for 70 years, I think the spring steel is sprung. There's a third one, and that one actually has the flats. Let's see, what do we got here? It is extremely important that you know how this goes back together. That is your brake surface. Similar to the brakes on a car. Okay, that's spring steel. Whew. I thought something was broken right there. Glad it is not. That's another brake surface. Alright. Let me see. So you have these little pads. See, there's another brake surface. So it is very important you don't grease those. Because obviously if you grease them, they're not going to stop very well. So I sprayed a little bit of degreaser on here. I'm going to go ahead and get all this 70 years of drag off of here. I will save my dad joke for later. Nah. I might just say it now. This is such a drag. I told you it was a dad joke. Okay, so there's that piece. I'm gonna wipe this down. So on my newer reels, I actually would not pull this apart, just because there's really no reason. I mean, unless it's been wet, or it's had something really happen with it. There's no real reason to have to rip all this stuff apart. I mean, as far as this drag mechanism. But as old as this reel is, it needs some help. It's getting a little tired, and it needs to be renovated just a little bit. Okay. Can y'all see? There's a little bit of this residue on here, and I'm just trying to get it a little bit smoother. There we go. Just trying to go between an angle that y'all can see and an angle that I can work at. So I'm going to work it for a little bit, and then I'll go back to where y'all can see real well. Okay, so there's that. And I will set it down. Wait, hold on before I start getting too crazy here. I noticed as I was setting this down, it just didn't feel the best. already cleaned this some, but I think it just needs a little bit more. There we go, that's starting to look better. There we go. That looks like a new part again. So, I'll set it back down. Wipe my hands off. So it goes back on in the reverse order that it came off. Goodness. Okay. And that goes on. I can already feel a little bit of friction. Oof. So I'm just removing all the old grease. This had some grease on it, so I'm sure the drag was acting phony on this. Just using this brush to get down in these little bitty holes. Okay. And I do hope y'all are able to see this pretty well. I know I've watched several videos of guys doing these, and some are great, some aren't. I hope this one's at least mediocre. Okay. And what I've learned after doing this wrong, what I've learned is don't strip the whole reel down all at once. Very first one of these I ever did, I thought, oh, it's not that many parts. Strip the whole thing down. I had parts everywhere, and then I forgot which way stuff was facing, and I mean it was bad. So basically I'm working on this shaft. Haven't taken anything else apart, haven't cleaned anything else. So now's a good time if you do want to get this polished back up. Now would be a perfect time to do it. It's all apart. Years of fish guts stuck on here. And a beautiful image, huh? But hey, this family is a fish hard family. My friend, his mom, his dad, I know they fish hard, and I'm sure that the original owner of this reel fished pretty hard too. Okay, just kind of moving some of this stuff. Let me see. So this, I don't know if you can tell, it's got a little bit of give on it because of that spring I was pushing on earlier. So it's got that spring right there, got a little give. Gives this some give. So that's the feedback that you have as you're tightening this up on this shaft. That's the feedback. You feel it getting tighter, you're squishing that spring down. On this one anyway, the new ones are a little bit different, just a little bit different. Let's see if I can remember how this goes. Pretty sure it went like this. See, look, I already did it again. Nope, I can tell. Yep, that's how they want to go right there. There's just ever so slightly of a curve on these two parts, and if you get them backwards, yep, that is not how they want to go. There we go. I have one of them backwards. Okay. Right there. So that is good. Let me clean this piece up. And then this is just a little bit of degreasing. So this is different. On the new ones, you will find a set of sleeve bearings, or not sleeve bearings, roller bearings, my bad. A set of roller bearings right in here. And they are one-way roller bearings. So what I always do, after I have this all clean, I will grease it, and I'll stick my grease in there and then just kind of roll it around like that. Just to get that grease worked in there. This one does not, which I guess is why they use that plastic sleeve right there. And this, they had another piece to make sure that this only went one way. Excuse me. Sucked a little bit of this vapor in my mouth. This brush, it's real soft bristles, works really well for these cases and getting them under all these screw heads and everything. Usually I don't do it this wet, but with as many years of grime as is on this, I'm going a little bit wetter on this degreasing. Normally I'd only do 1 or 2 squirts, but this one has gone many years without getting any maintenance to it. So after I run the brush, I always like to wipe it, because that brush will loosen it, and then by wiping it, you'll just kind of wipe all the rest of the junk off of here. Not to mention drying it. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to leave that stuff on there to dry. Look at that. That already looks so much better. See the difference? So I get them both at the same angle. So quite a bit of difference. This one has shine to it, and this one has none. Alright. Handle has obviously seen better days, but you see, that's the kind of stuff that gets under there. And I am no expert on these. I bought that Abu Garcia kit. I had bought me a couple Ambassador reels off eBay, and I mean, shoot, I had my Ambassador reels for over 10 years before I ever knew I had to clean them. I thought it was a lifetime cleaning. My father-in-law was like, yeah, some of these guys they never do any maintenance on their Ambassador reels. And I was like, what maintenance do you need to do? And he said, I'd hate to see the inside of yours. And I said, well, tell me what I need to do and I'll go clean it. He said, just look up online. You can find stuff. Find the information. I said, okay. So I did. And then, funny story, I bought 2 Black Max reels. Oh, that sounds terrible. I'll do that here in a minute. Sorry. I bought 2 Black Max reels on eBay. Well, bid on 2. Wound up winning both of them. So I told my friend who owns these, I said, hey, I will give you one of them. And he said, okay. So he took one. Oh, my wife just apparently doesn't like what I'm doing. She just walked by and stuck her finger to her head like she's gonna die. I don't know. When she was pregnant, she did say that I put her to sleep. She got the best sleep if she ever got me talking. Can y'all read that? It says oil. I don't know if that means oil goes under it. I don't know what that means. We'll see what we can find out. Alright. So that's got that side pretty well taken care of. Oh, gosh, I want to put this stuff back together before I start pulling this one apart. See what I mean about all these gears? It works that mechanism. I wish I could just pull this out. See this, I think, yeah, it sits on here. So that, this little piece is how, in these old ones, they were making this only go one way. Interesting. Like I said, I'm no expert. This one is absolutely pinned in. But the interesting thing is this shaft gets smaller. I think there's just so much crap on it. I don't want to break it. Because this is an irreplaceable reel. Whether I go buy one on eBay or not, that's not the issue. I'll clean this in place. It's the sentimental value. Like I said, it's his grandfather's. got things of my grandfather's that you couldn't give me anything for. I don't care if they're worth $5, and you offered me $1 million. Still wouldn't take it. Alright. Let's clean it up nicely. I was a bit worried with all that white. So on the new ones, this spool will pop just right off. Still have the bronze bushing, but it just pops right off. It's not an issue. This one is just being cantankerous. But oh well. We'll do the best that we can. Okay. Whew. I hate to run all this degreaser on all this, but it needs it. This grease is so past its prime. Maybe I should have moved that before I started. If y'all notice, there's not any standing grease left on any of these gears, and I mean none of them. Let me wipe this down. I shot this with my precision degreaser. Accidentally, I got precision overspray is what I got. Alright. So you can see how wet all that is. See if I can't just work this in there and just get all of this grease off, or at least 99% of it. Because honestly, until I could take all of this off, I couldn't get it all off. Okay, now for these tough to reach areas, I'm just going to stick this rag on my screwdriver and just run it around to where I can't get my big old finger. Being very careful that I don't shove something out of place that I have no idea where to put it back. That would be terrible. That's what I did with my Black Max. First one of these I'd ever done. And I was like, you know what? I got 2 Black Maxes. Let me rebuild both of them. Well, let's just say it's a good thing I had 2, because that way I could look at one and know how in the world to put the other one back together. Because I had completely lost it. Wow. Okay. So this, let me point here, this bronze gear needs, it needs some grease. This is going to be interesting, putting this back on. So there's a C-clip on this side. I really don't want to take that off. That's what holds that gear on. And you shouldn't have to take this spool apart. I'm not able to take this bronze gear right here off of this spool rod. I can see absolutely nothing holding it on. So truly the only thing that I could think it would be is just years of grime. And the only reason I want to get it off is just to show you the back side of this spool and to put a couple pieces back on. That is just not coming. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Y'all see this little piece right here and that little piece right there? There's a lot of tiny parts in here. Those two pieces actually go, I don't know if y'all can see it. There's a rod. There's a rod right on the back side of this spool. These truly just sit right there. But as far as how in the world I'm getting it on there, I don't know. That was not the way. Okay, it's out. Dadgummit. And that one is not wanting to come off as easy as the other C-clip. Let me go get some very small needle nose and see if I can't get that back on. Okay. I'm not super well stocked on little bitty things. See if we can't make this work. Okay, got that on one side. All right, got that on both sides. There we go, got that back in. Got quite a bit of wiggle room. Is that line wrapped around it? It's almost like old fishing line wrapped around it. Can't be 100% sure, but I don't think Abu Garcia put that on there. Is wrapped around really good, honestly, For it to be there this many years, I would expect it to be. There we go. Fishing line removed. Oh no. I lost this piece I just put on. Oh no. Okay. Let's see if we can't do this all over again. Did it much better the first 2 times. I think I had beginner's luck. Okay. Let's try this again. Kill it. Slipped right on that time. Well, maybe not. Okay, that is back together. A little oil on some of these parts that move. And this bushing needs grease. Sorry, not bushing, this gear needs grease. I like to pack it in real good. It'll squeeze out wherever it needs to go, but I like to get it packed in there. I'll go ahead and throw a little bit on this one too. There we go, get it worked down a little bit. This delete, no. Okay. So now with the hard side done, just get it buttoned back up. Alrighty then. Okay, so now I'll start putting this drag adjuster on. So there that goes. Remember, this goes angle down. I had to look for a minute. I thought I had an extra part. Okay. So I got the handle on, got the C-clip, C-clip, E-clip, whatever clip. Okay, got the letter clip on. That is going on crooked. There we go. That's where I want that. Alright. See if that's where I want it. See, with this having so many positions, you can almost get this exactly where you need it. Right in between two. Let's see what now. Perfect. Okay. Okay. It's very important how that operates. There's our two pieces that keep falling off. That looks so much better. We'll set that aside. We'll go back in degreasing mode. Get this off. So just these screws here. This side is so much easier. If this one is like the newer ones, this side is responsible for exactly one thing. This looks different, so this might be a little bit different than the new ones. But the one thing that this is responsible for is this piece, running this back and forth. On the new ones anyway. Dirty inside. Looks like that is the adjustment knob for your spool control. It's the official term, anti-backlash. You can see on the new ones, there's nothing there. Looks a little bit better. Sorry, I keep doing that. I keep working on this outside of your view. My bad. Just get the last little bit of this precision degreaser out of there. I know, I keep saying precision degreaser, it cracks me up. That sounds pretty good, but give it a little bit of oil. That's a little bit better. Pull that up. I'm going to set this cover aside. Okay, this is the exact same way it is on the new ones. Just pull that down. Then this pops out. You just work this worm gear out. There's your cage. So now it's time to douse this goop. Hoping I can get this thing shining like it's 1950 again. 55 or whenever this thing was made. I've had this for about 2 years now. Good thing I'm not charging for it. They're going fishing in a week, and he asked me, and I'm like, let me just do it right now. Because him and I both stay incredibly busy. And then he felt bad, and I'm like, don't feel bad, I feel bad. Only one of us should feel bad. I've had it for 2 years. Honestly, after my Black Max, I really didn't want to do one of these because these are sentimental on the Black Max. I mean, I felt bad enough that I just paid, you know, 40, 50 bucks, whatever I paid for them. I thought I was gonna have to throw it away, and I'm like, man, I don't wanna mess with his grandfather's reel. I don't wanna mess that up. But as long as you just keep things, do one side at a time, set it where it faces a direction that makes sense, and you should be pretty good with it. I made the big mistake of take the whole thing apart and then put the whole thing back together, and then I was like, oh crap, I can't get the whole thing back together, because I forgot there was several gears, and I'm like, is this left side of the case, is this right side of the case, which way does this face? But it's the second one of these I've done today. That other one I've been showing you, I did that earlier today. Figured I'd do it off camera, get a little bit more familiar with them again. This, if you can't tell, has all kinds of little sharp points to it. So you just grab my rag. So you just want to get this cleaned up good. Set this back in here. Okay, so this only sits in here one way. Nope. Did that backwards. This goes in first. Make sure you put the loop in. Then you can get this in. And this will sit through that hole right there. Alright. I had this cleaner than I thought. I guess it was just wet. Wipe this down a little bit, make it look a little bit more presentable. Because if I've spent the time, I'd at least rather it have a little bit of shine back to it. Once you are satisfied with that, this goes in just goes back forward, locks that in. So remember, we had this sitting like this. Interesting. This one has the screws on this side. But you would think these would be screws, but they're in fact nuts. Something's in a bind. Alright. So this spool will lock into its place. You can spin it around out here, but it will find its place and lock in. I always like to hold that in. Dadgummit, you came off again. There. I always like to hold this in its place. Just screw this, put these screws back in, run them down, and then we have one more thing to oil, and I always save this till the very end. Make sure everything you're doing on here, you remember this is all precision gearing in here. Don't force anything. You can't do it with your fingertips. You don't need to be doing it. I mean, that's truly about as tight as everything is. Button it all up now. Last thing it oils, I just flip it upside down and I just oil this worm gear real good. Remember I said that sounded awful? We'll fix that. Shot on that side, little shot on this side. This one has the clicker. Still not as quiet as this one. But I still think it's better than it was, don't you? It's fishable. Alright, thank y'all for watching. If you made it all the way through, you deserve some award. I don't know what. It was a long video, a lot of very small pieces. I'm not very good with very small pieces. I like much larger things to work on. Trucks, tractors, that kind of stuff. Once it gets into the inner workings of this, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's got to be done, I know it. But, you know, this way, you know how to do it. So that way, if you've got to do it before your next fishing trip, you know, you got a reel that's just whining, just making all kinds of noise. You know how to do it. If y'all don't have time, this is something that I think these shops might charge 20 or even $40. That's probably still very reasonable for all of this. And who knows, they could probably get it working better than even you could. Every time I do them, it always seems like my first 10 or 15 casts, I'm kind of working all the thick grease out and getting everything back into place. And after that, it's fine. But those first few casts, I throw something on there that's real heavy and just sling it. And you know, because I mean, you can only work it so much here. And once you start running that spool, that's when you start really looking on the free spool. Now, my Black Max, after they kind of worked in, and I don't know if you'd even call it breaking in, but after they did their thing, I mean, they'll flat out go. You know, not as good as an open face, but you know, for one of these big ones, they will flat out go. So that's how y'all do it. If you have any questions, let me know. I will answer what I can, but like I said, I am by no means an expert. So I put everybody else in my house to sleep. Hopefully y'all are still awake. See y'all next time.